My illegitimate younger sister set me up, making me end up in Crown Prince Cheng's bed and become his least favored concubine. It wasn't until after I got married that I found out Crown Prince Cheng was a fool, his princess was a fool too, and the entire manor was practically crawling with spies from the other princes. I felt dizzy. How was I supposed to survive this?
1.
On the wedding night, Crown Prince Cheng stood at the doorway, looking back repeatedly. His princess stood in the courtyard, watching this way from afar. It was only a few steps between them, yet the two looked at each other with teary eyes. I sat on the bridal bed like a third wheel with a stick, breaking up a pair of lovebirds. I sighed, lifted the red bridal veil myself, and came out to bow to them. Your Highness, I'm on my period today and can't serve you tonight. Could you please go back with Her Highness? Then I bowed to the princess. Thank you for your trouble, sister. Both their eyes lit up and they very politely told me to get some rest. The princess even told the maids to prepare herbal soup for me and to take good care of me. Then the two of them happily walked off, hand in hand, swaying like schoolchildren finally released for the day. People always said Crown Prince Cheng and his princess were both fools, and now I saw it with my own eyes. Absolutely true.
2.
I stayed alone in the bridal chamber, but strangely felt relieved. This marriage was never something I wanted. If my illegitimate sister hadn't schemed against me, I wouldn't have ended up in the same bed as Crown Prince Cheng. Though nothing actually happened, the two of us were caught in disheveled clothes, and the scandal was undeniable. At first, the Zhao family thought I'd brought shame upon them and wanted to quietly send me off in a small bridal sedan chair. End of story. But Crown Prince Cheng went to the palace and asked the emperor for a decree, naming me his concubine. That's the only reason I got a proper dowry and an official title. Everyone in the capital knew Crown Prince Cheng and his princess, though simple-minded, were very affectionate with each other. Now that he had asked the emperor for my marriage decree, people naturally assumed I had seduced him. The Zhao family's eldest daughter is shameless. Climbing into a fool's bed. What is she after? What else? The prince may be a fool, but he's still royalty. And the princess is a fool too. Plus, she can't bear children. Once the Zhao girl gives him a son, won't the entire household be hers? TSK, maybe she's smarter than we thought. Before the wedding, I too had wondered if Crown Prince Cheng had truly fallen for me, since he went through the trouble of getting the imperial decree. But after tonight, I knew the truth. Definitely not.
3.
Because of my excuse about being on my period, the princess even excused me from morning greetings and gifted me a top-quality ginseng root. She came from the wealthy Shin family, merchants with money to spare. Lavish gifts were nothing to her. Giving such an expensive present to a mere concubine like me, I had no idea how to return the favor. After thinking it over, I decided to gift her a box of handmade pastries. If you look at the bright side, I made them myself, so it showed sincerity. If you look at the downside, well, they weren't worth much. But the princess was overjoyed. She grabbed Crown Prince Cheng, and they started feeding each other. You feed me one, I feed you one. Cheek to cheek, both exclaiming how delicious it was. I could barely watch. If I were the jealous type, I might have thought they were doing it on purpose to remind me who I was and stop me from trying to win the prince's affection. But I had no intention of competing for favor. Besides, their joy was so genuine that even if I had all the suspicion in the world, reality just wouldn't support it. Then came the third-day homecoming visit, and once again, Crown Prince Cheng gave me a shock. He had prepared a cartload of gifts for the visit back to my maiden home. But I noticed something strange. The boxes looked suspiciously similar to the one that held the ginseng his princess had given me. Wait a second, Your Highness. Were these prepared by you or by Her Highness? He scratched his head with his chubby hand. The princess prepared them.
I'm sorry.
My personal storeroom is empty. I couldn't come up with any decent gifts, so I had to borrow from her. After the autumn harvest, I'll make it up to you. I almost passed out. A concubine returning to her maiden home with gifts from the princess's dowry. If word got out, how would I ever face anyone again? I went to see the princess, and she smiled brightly. even asking if I needed more. I clutched my head. You're a prince. Do you always live so extravagantly? You emptied your whole storeroom. Seeing I was upset, Crown Prince Ching even pulled me over to show me, and sure enough, it was completely empty. The princess and I don't know how to manage accounts, and we're not good with money. So, well, things got a little tight. But don't worry, the princess can help out. I nearly spat at him. I held back, then couldn't anymore. You're a grown man living off your wife's dowry, and now you're using her dowry to send gifts for your concubine's visit home. Have you no shame? I was furious. What kind of person does that? Seeing how angry I was, the two of them were stunned. They backed away and hid behind a tree, not daring to come out. They looked just like two little bunnies, and I was the big bad wolf. I asked someone to prepare brush and paper and made Crown Prince Chung write a promissory note. You borrowed from the princess's dowry and promised to repay it, so write it down. The homecoming gifts were supposed to come from him. That promissory note? He had to write it. The princess waved her hand and said it wasn't necessary. I shot her a glare. Right. Crown Prince Chung immediately scribbled down the note, detailing every item he borrowed. He might look like a fool, but his handwriting was neat, and he had a good memory. Maybe he wasn't completely stupid after all. I handed the note to the princess for safekeeping, then brought Crown Prince Chung with me to visit my family. Just as we were about to leave, I saw the princess waving at us from the doorway. Her eyes turned red like a little bunny's, looking utterly pitiful. She looked like I was dragging her husband off to sell him. I sighed helplessly, turned around, and waved her over. Come on up. She gleefully jumped onto the carriage like a happy little bunny. I gazed out the window, smiling. I had a feeling that this return to the Zhao family would be something they would never forget.
4.
At the Zhao residence, my dear illegitimate sister, Zhao Wanru, was waiting at the gate just to see me make a fool of myself. Well, big sister's back? I heard Prince Chung and his princess are deeply in love. You climbed into his bed and married into the family. His princess surely doesn't like you, does she? She was dressed flamboyantly like a peacock, her eyes full of provocation as she looked at me. Back then, she had drugged me and set me up with Prince Chung, all for the sake of watching me fall from grace. The proud legitimate daughter of the Zhao family, throwing herself into a prince's bed, ending up as a concubine to a fool of a royal. What a disgrace. I smiled at her. You're still so concerned about others, second sister. You'd better worry about how to hide your own belly. She schemed against me not just to humiliate me, but also to steal my engagement. She and my former fiancé, Lian Ting, had secretly conceived a child, but Lian Ting didn't want to take the blame for breaking off the engagement and being called unfaithful. That's why they came up with this whole setup. A heartless man and a shameless woman, truly a perfect match. Well then, I wish them a long and happy life together. At least they won't be out there harming others. Zhao Wanru put on a pitiful face, like I had just bullied her. Sister, I was only worried about you. How could you accuse me like this? She cried miserably, same old performance I'd seen 1,000 times. I rolled my eyes. As expected, my father Zhao Dekeng, his half-brother Zhao Jian, and my ex-fiancé, Lian Ting, all came running out from the courtyard. Seeing me standing alone by the carriage, they began to scold me. Zhao Wanqing, you're still so fond of bullying others. I thought marriage would tame your temper. Who knew you'd still be so vicious? Wanru, don't cry. We'll stand up for you. I rolled my eyes again and ignored this group of brainless fools. As long as Zhao Wanru shed a few tears, every wrong in the world would somehow be mine. If an earthquake struck, they'd probably find a way to blame it on me too. This kind of scene, I'd seen it for over a decade, and I was long sick of it. But what they didn't know was, I wasn't alone today. There was movement inside the carriage. What are they talking about? All Wanqing did was show a little concern. How is that bullying? Who knows? I've heard the Zhao family is extremely biased. I didn't believe Lord Zhao had lost his mind, but it seems he really has. Wow, those three. Could they be the fools? Sure looks like it. The three of them stood there stunned, staring at the two noble figures who stepped out of the carriage, hand in hand, Prince Cheng and his princess, the very ones rumored to be fools. They were being called fools by the ones they had just called fools.
5.
No matter how people mocked Prince Cheng behind his back, the fact remained. He was a royal. Shocked or not, Zhao Dekheng immediately dropped to his knees to pay his respects. I stood by Prince Cheng's side, watching the four of them kneel. It was honestly amusing. Zhao Wanru lifted her head and glared at me with hatred. None of them had expected Prince Cheng and his princess to personally escort me back home. Frankly, no one would have imagined this. In the history of noble families, never had the legitimate wife accompanied a concubine to her maiden home. Zhao Wanru had wanted to watch me be humiliated. But with the royal couple present, she didn't dare speak recklessly. Even my stepmother, Qin Jingyun, came out to greet them. When she saw the prince and princess, she froze for a moment before hurriedly bowing. Prince Cheng, Princess Cheng, did Wanqing do something wrong? Oh dear. What could this child have done to trouble your highnesses to come here personally? I'll discipline her properly. With just one sentence, she painted me as the guilty party and even exchanged meaningful glances with Zhao Dekheng. Zhao Dekheng finally came to his senses. Your Highness, it's my failure as a father that she did such disgraceful things. I'm deeply ashamed that we troubled you both to come here in person. That child's mother was no good either. They echoed each other in perfect rhythm, slandering me in front of outsiders, an old routine. I'd seen it too many times to feel much anymore. But then, Zhao Jie didn't do anything wrong. The princess suddenly interrupted, her big eyes blinking innocently as she looked at them with confusion. You're her parents. Why are you blaming her without even asking what happened? Isn't a parent supposed to protect their own child first? I froze, startled by her words. Those were the very thoughts I'd carried for over a decade, but I'd only dared to voice them once. That one time I was beaten and cursed at. You think we don't know what kind of person you are? If it's not your fault, then whose? Why is no one blaming your sister? Only you. Can't you reflect on your own actions? No one wanted to hear the truth. No one cared what really happened. I was always the one in the wrong. Since then, I never asked again. What was the point? In the Zhao family, no one cared. Yet now, these words came from Princess Cheng's mouth, and even Zhao Dekheng and the others were stunned. None of them dared talk back. Even if they mocked her in secret, they wouldn't dare speak against her in public. Bullies always preyed on the weak. That was their nature. I couldn't help but laugh.
See?
They were afraid too. They only ever bullied me. 6. After that homecoming banquet, Zhao Dekheng and the others didn't dare say another word. Zhao Wanru, on the other hand, kept glaring at me every chance she got, as if she could stare a hole right through me. But I was in high spirits, taking Prince Cheng and the princess consort on a tour around the Zhao residence. They were curious about everything. Zhao Jie, is this your courtyard? Why is it so small? It's not even half the size of your sister's. And look at this furniture, it's so old. Your family's favoritism is way too obvious. You're Zhao Jie's ex-fiancé? Still hung up on her? No? Then why are you, a man, walking around the inner courtyard of the Zhao residence? Doesn't your family teach you any rules? Oh, you're Zhao Jie's stepmother? My mother always said stepmothers are the worst. You look pretty mean, but you're not very nice to Zhao Jie, are you? And you're Zhao Jie's younger brother? Haven't you been to school? Or couldn't afford it? You have? Then why don't you have any manners? You see your sister and don't even know how to greet her. I finally got to witness just how skilled Princess Consort Shunin was. I was in complete awe. She said whatever she wanted, didn't beat around the bush, and didn't hold back at all. After she finished, the Zhao family and Lian Ting all looked like their faces had been wiped with soot. Whenever they tried to defend themselves, Prince Cheng would chime in from the side. Anin's right. Exactly what Anin said. Anin isn't wrong. The two of them tag-teamed so smoothly that the Zhao family was practically gnashing their teeth. They kept glaring at me, clearly suspecting I'd brought these two along on purpose to back me up. If I hadn't already seen how the three of them got along naturally, I might have believed that myself. But their expressions were sincere. Anyone could tell that this was just who they were. With personalities this blunt and straightforward, it was no wonder the slick-talking capital folk thought they were fools. But in a world full of so-called smart people, a little honesty is rare. After lunch, the Zhao family rushed to see us off, as if terrified we'd stay the night. I'd never wanted to stay the night at home before, but today I really did. I wanted to see how long they could keep those expressions on their faces. But it was getting late. If the three of us really did stay, how would they even arrange the rooms? Who'd sleep with who? 7. As we left the Zhao residence, I turned around and waved at Zhao Dekeng. Father, I'll make sure to bring the prince and princess consort back to visit you often. Zhao Dekeng. His mouth opened, probably to tell me to get lost.
Ha.
So he also had moments when he was too angry to speak. Borrowing power to throw your weight around really does feel amazing. I was grinning the whole way home, in a great mood, even if there was still a tiny ache in my heart. The prince and princess consort were sitting quietly in the corner, watching me cautiously. Prince Ching even took out his hidden stash of snacks and gave them to me. Those were his treasures, usually only shared with Shunanan.
Here.
Have something sweet. It'll make your heart feel sweet too. They were both watching me like I was something fragile and precious. My eyes burned with heat. I picked one up and popped it into my mouth. A wave of sweetness rushed up my nose. It really is sweet. I was just about to say something when the carriage suddenly stopped. Outside, there was shouting. Blind fool. Don't you see whose carriage this is? How dare you get in the way? Crack. The coachman had been whipped. Prince Chung immediately lifted the curtain to look outside. I leaned out too, and saw a massive carriage blocking the street, holding up all traffic. The 7th prince was helping a woman onto the carriage. They were moving slowly, teasing and flirting as they went, deliberately wasting time. He was the empress's son, his features delicate and feminine, and his behavior always arrogant. When he noticed us, he paused and stood atop his carriage, looking over with a smile. So it's third brother? Out with your new favorite? They say fools are blessed. Seems you've found yourself a lively one. He was mocking me for climbing into Prince Cheng's bed and belittling him at the same time. Prince Cheng didn't know how to respond. He just said softly, 7th brother's servant shouldn't have whipped my coachman. The 7th prince merely let out a disdainful chuckle, clearly not taking it seriously. Forget whipping a coachman. He could slap Prince Chung in the face and no one would stop him. The woman beside him laughed too, showing zero respect. I looked straight at her. She was adjusting an ornate hairpin on her head. It was finely made and clearly valuable. She noticed me watching and lifted her chin proudly, then glanced at the simple jade pin in my hair with even more contempt. Prince Chung wanted to say something. His mouth opened and closed several times before he finally got a sentence out. 7th brother, the silver you borrowed from me last time. I was wondering when. 3rd brother, I'm a bit busy. Let's catch up later. With that, the 7th prince ducked into his carriage and ordered it to drive off. Prince Chung sat back down, lips sealed, his expression gloomy. Shin Anan held his hand and gave him a comforting smile. I thought for a moment, did the 7th prince really borrow silver from you? Prince Cheng's eyes turned red, and he nodded fiercely. Seriously? So princes even lend each other money now? Judging by the 7th prince's attitude, he clearly had no intention of paying it back. What a deadbeat. I narrowed my eyes. Don't tell me the entire treasury of your residence has already been lent out? Prince Cheng's eyes reddened even more, and again he nodded hard. What kind of life were they even living?
8.
I tossed and turned all night. On the 4th day after entering the manor, I called Chim Wang and Shin Anan into the room for a meeting. Can I see the estate's account books? I wasn't trying to take charge. I just wanted to see if the estate could survive without the princess's money and dowry. I had come up with many reasons to ask for the books. After all, I was just a secondary consort. Asking for the accounts right after arriving was clearly overstepping. But before I could even explain, their eyes lit up and they nodded together. Sure, just wait a moment. Soon, a pile of ledgers was laid out in my room. They looked excited, as if they'd been wanting to do this for a long time. I felt like I'd boarded a pirate ship. But since I was here, life had to go on. It took me 7 days to organize the accounts and check all the household staff. The more I investigated, the darker the picture became. The future looked bleak. I called them in again, sent everyone else away, shut the door, and whispered, "Do you know that aside from the old steward, 2 people around each of you, the coachman, and 2 rough maids, the other 30-plus people here are all spies sent by other princes, princesses, and the empress?" There were so many informants, it was unbelievable. I wanted to check if I had made a mistake. But after verifying their relationships, there was no error. I didn't know if the princes looked down on Chengwang too much or just didn't bother hiding it. These people's identities were obvious once investigated. I even softened my tone, worried I might scare them. But they nodded seriously. "We know." "No? If you know, then why?" Chengwang smiled. "Even without these people, others would come. It's better to keep them than chase them away." Me. He made a fair point. At this moment, I felt like the fool. Putting the spies aside, I laid out the accounts. "In recent years, Your Highness, you've loaned out over 300,000 taels of silver in money and goods. What do you plan to do about this debt?" Most of the loans were borrowed by princes, but there were also loans from the empress and consorts of the harem. The empress's son, the 7th prince, the 3rd princess, and the favored consort sons, the 2nd and 4th princes, and the 2nd princess borrowed the most. They were the richest, yet borrowed the most. Seeing the exact figures made my head spin. How did he lend out the entire family fortune? 9. At this, Chengwang recoiled and hung his head, silent. I suddenly slammed the table. "Speak." Seeing him so scared, if the Zhao family had seen him like this, they wouldn't fear him at all. Chengwang shuddered, and Shun Anin quickly grabbed his hand, gently saying, "Your Highness has asked for repayment, but they won't give it back." So they were just defaulting. Royal relatives defaulting on debts. How shameless. I took a deep breath. "This matter requires Your Highness to decide. Will you call back all these loans or continue to use the princess's dowry to cover household expenses and support you and me, your secondary consort?" Chengwang lowered his head, unable to meet my gaze. I intensified my tone. "Your Highness, do you want to be a man or keep wronging the princess?" Shunanin was about to say she wasn't wronged, but I stuffed a snack into her mouth, and she pouted, unable to speak. I had made the snacks well. She loved them, so I had been baking whenever I had time these past days. Seeing her enjoy them, my expression softened. Then I glared at Chengwang. "In this pile of accounts, the dowry also got loaned out. Your Highness, did you see the pearl hairpin on that woman near the 7th prince? That actually belongs to the princess's dowry. No one knows how it ended up on that woman's head." I was shocked when I saw the hairpin in the Ledger's illustrated catalog. It seemed that whether in the palace or common life, some children are always bullied. And their spouses get no respect either. Chengwang looked at me stunned, then at his princess with guilt, then back to the accounts. He took a deep breath, copying me. "I don't want to wrong the princess. Not bad. A real man." I smiled. "Good. From tomorrow, we won't eat at home anymore. The 3 of us will eat out." They didn't understand what eating out meant. The next day, I took them to change out of their old clothes and got into a worn-out carriage. Our first stop was the eldest prince's manor. The eldest prince's mother was originally a palace maid who served the emperor and was only promoted after his birth. As the eldest prince gained military achievements, his mother became one of the 4th-rank consorts. We went straight to his manor, entered, sat down, and didn't leave. The eldest prince wasn't home, but no matter. We told the steward what we were there for and handed over the copied accounts, saying we had come to collect debts. The steward looked troubled. "I don't have authority over this." I smiled. "Then we'll wait for the eldest prince to return." The steward tried to dodge. "Master is out training troops. No idea when he'll be back." I smiled pleasantly. "No problem. We have time to wait." The three of us stayed at the eldest prince's manor. The staff dared not neglect us and served tea, water, and snacks. We ate, drank, and casually looked around. When mealtime came, we asked what was being served. The steward gave us a dumbfounded look. I had completely lost my shame. Cheng Wang and the princess didn't care about dignity either. They ate and drank as if they owned the place, making demands like they were hosts, showing no guest manners. So we freeloaded for a whole day. No eldest prince came, but we ate our fill and even took some snacks away. Finally, night fell. The steward sighed in relief when we left. The next day when we came back, the steward didn't dare open the door. I waved my hand. No problem. Let's go to the second prince. I took a gong, banged it once, and nudged Cheng Wang. He got it and shouted loudly, "Big brother, since you're not home, we'll come for the debts tomorrow." "Don't worry, brother. We're just here for the principal, no interest." Then we turned and left, ignoring the expressions of the passing officials.
10.
To demand repayment, you have to be thick-skinned. The debtors don't care about their own face, so why should we? I took Cheng Wang and Wang Fei, the concubine, to visit all the princes and 3 princesses' mansions who had borrowed money. Of course, we didn't skip the palace either. We went to one household each day, showing no favoritism. Except for the 5th prince, son of Yun Fei. All the other princes had borrowed silver. When we met someone, Cheng Wang loudly announced we had come to collect debts, that the household treasury was empty, and they had to live off Wang Fei's dowry. When the princes refused to open their doors, Cheng Wang shouted outside, repeating several times before moving on to the next house. Later, they stopped opening doors altogether. So we started waiting early at the palace gates. The princes pretended not to be home, but surely they had to enter the palace somehow. After a month, the entire capital knew that several princes and princesses owed Cheng Wang money and refused to pay. Cheng Wang was so poor he drove an old carriage and wore old clothes, taking his first and second wives out every day to collect debts. There were even busybodies who waited just to watch the drama. There are many spectacles to see, but a royal spectacle is rare in a lifetime, would be foolish not to watch. Cheng Wang didn't care what people said. He just said whatever was asked. He repeated it so many times he got quite skilled at it. The princes were shameless when borrowing money because they assumed Cheng Wang cared about his dignity. But now that Cheng Wang had no shame, the emperor had to care about his own face. My face has been completely lost by you all. How extravagant have your expenses been to have borrowed so much from my 3rd son? Several princes, 3 princesses, the empress, and the consorts were all summoned and harshly scolded. Go back and repay all the money to my 3rd son immediately. The princes received the decree and agreed to repay right away. But Cheng Wang refused to leave. Let's settle it here. Brothers and siblings, bring the IOUs. I'll check, and then we'll leave. Hurry up, Anne is waiting for me to eat. The emperor was stunned, as were the dozen or so debtors. They had planned to go back and shortchange the repayment, confident Cheng Wang wouldn't make a fuss. After all, making a scene once in front of the emperor was enough. Doing it twice, even if Cheng Wang was right, would only get him scolded. The emperor was busy and had no time for these petty matters. But since Cheng Wang insisted on repaying here, none dared fake it in front of the emperor. Cheng Wang moved a small stool, sipped tea, ate his own snacks, and said they could take their time. The emperor looked at him, took 2 deep breaths, and said, "What a fool. How did he end up such a fool?" Cheng Wang was the son of the previous empress. As a child, he was smart, lively, and beloved by all. But after the empress died, he fell seriously ill, and when he recovered, he changed, becoming timid, quiet, and increasingly foolish. After being scolded many times, he truly became the fool everyone called him. The emperor felt regret and anger whenever he mentioned Cheng Wang, wishing he could have been better. Seeing that the emperor did not punish Cheng Wang, the princes pinched their noses and went home to repay the money. As they left, they all cursed. They say the 3rd son is a fool. Who's he fooling? Where is he a fool? He's actually very shrewd. The 7th prince sneered, making such a mess, not caring about the royal dignity at all. That's foolish, isn't it? No one else said a word, but all resented it deeply. They were furious. Cheng Wang's actions seemed downright foolish. But everyone knew he'd been foolish for a long time. Would the emperor punish him just because he was foolish? What a paradox. The fool had become a shield against punishment. 11. Finally, after getting all the silver back, Cheng Wang returned home, his face beaming with relief. He pushed the IOUs into Shunanin's arms. "Enin, you've endured a lot these years." Shunanin smiled and said it wasn't a burden, then pushed the IOUs to me. "We should thank Sister Zhao. From now on, let her manage the finances. We just can't keep track of the silver." The two exchanged smiles and handed me the account book. I took the ledger, feeling both amused and heavy-hearted. Although we got the money back, we've also offended the Empress, the princes, and the princesses. Don't you too resent me? They looked foolish, but actually understood the royal relationships far better than I did and knew the consequences of their actions. I used to think they were dumb, but over time I realized they just do things their own way and dislike arguing, not truly foolish. In many matters, they see more clearly than I do. Both shook their heads. They dared to borrow and not repay because they didn't even take us seriously. Among the royal siblings, it's a relentless battle to the death. No different than now. Sure enough, they knew everything. I sighed and suddenly asked, "Prince, why did you go to the palace to request an imperial decree to give me the status of secondary wife?" Cheng Wang was stunned for a moment, then scratched his head. "Does it matter?" I nodded firmly. "It matters to me." Cheng Wang looked at Shunanin. It was Wang Fei's idea. When I came back that day, I told Anin what happened, and she told me to ask for the decree. "Huh. Wang Fei." Cheng Wang nodded. "Anin said you were being framed. Without the decree giving you status, you'd be carried in a small sedan chair with no rank, no dowry, and would be looked down on your whole life. Anin said you'd already been abandoned by your family, and if you had no status in the Wang residence and were scorned and blamed, that would be too pitiful." Anin nodded firmly, her eyes full of sympathy as she looked at me. My heart was a jumble of feelings. How did you know my family abandoned me? The scene was chaotic at the time, and Shunanin wasn't there. How could she know so much? And I had seduced her husband, yet she was convinced I was framed and wanted to help me get a proper status? How could she be so naive? Shunanin's eyes were clear. "It was third brother who told me. He said your stepmother blamed you, your brother called you shameless, your sister hypocritically said she should keep an eye on you. No one was on your side, no one helped you, no one even helped cover you." Suddenly, the scene of that day appeared before my eyes. Many people surrounded me, pointing fingers, my clothes torn open, skin exposed. Many were laughing and calling me shameless, with no one thinking to cover me up. But in the chaos, someone wrapped me in a quilt and stood in front of me, saying something. At that time, I only thought that no matter how hard I tried to guard myself, I still fell into Zhao Wanru's trap. My life was over. Zhao Wanru and Qin Jingyun must have been so proud. Zhao Dekheng was still shouting at me, trampling on my deceased mother's name, cursing us as shameless fools with delusions. Anyway, it was over. If I was doomed, why not fight to the death with the Zhao family? Should we let the Zhao family bleed, or burn everything to ashes? I had already thought about where to buy poison and where to get oil, and even took out my secret savings, calculating how much silver and time it would take to make it happen. But just as I was making plans, an imperial decree arrived. Cheng Wang went to the palace and requested the decree to give me status, and I could be entered into the royal jade genealogy. I was dazed for a moment before accepting the decree, looking at the words on it, my mind buzzing. It seemed I might give the Zhao family a few more days to live. It seemed I wasn't yet at the absolute end. I thought of many future paths, even shamefully planned to use Cheng Wang to drag the Zhao family down from their high perch. I just never imagined the one who wrapped me in that quilt was Cheng Wang, and the one who stood in front of me was also him. Nor did I expect that when I wanted to fight to the death, someone behind the scenes was quietly planning a future full of light for me. So that's how it was.
12.
I lowered my head, covered my eyes, rubbed away the sting, then asked Shen another question. Aren't you afraid I'd fight you for the position once I came in? Without hesitation, Shen smiled at me. You didn't fight. So she didn't know whether I would or not. I couldn't help but give her a light tap and snatched away the snack plate. Remember, don't be so self-sacrificing in the future, inviting wolves in. You'll regret it. Shen obediently nodded and sneaked a glance at Chen Wang. Chen Wang took advantage of my distraction to sneak her a lotus pastry. She stuffed it into her mouth, cheeks puffed out from eating. The two looked so proud, like I was the wicked stepmother withholding food, making me laugh despite myself. Have all their schemes gone into this? I pushed the snack plate back, put away the IOUs, and tallied the accounts. Since you gave me the money, we need to find a way out. This silver must be put to some use. They both looked at me without asking anything. So I said, we need to find a way to survive. Since that night, I gave up on fighting to the death and ended up stuck with these two pure-hearted fools on a sinking ship. We had to plan a way out for the three of us. Chen Wang was born of the previous empress, so he had the status of a legitimate son. Even if he was a bit foolish, he was still a key contender for the throne. Anyone wanting that position wouldn't let him be. To survive, either he takes that position himself. I barely said it when Chen Wang waved his hand. No, I can't sit on the throne. I sighed. Then we have to find the right person for that position, someone who won't see you as an enemy. The fifth prince was the candidate I had in mind. Yun Fei and the previous empress were relatives by clan, and Chen Wang and the fifth prince were close brothers, or at least cousins. Their conflicting interests weren't too severe. Besides, the fifth prince was quiet but had good character. Consort Yun and fifth brother have always treated me well, never bullied me. Chen Wang looked foolish, but was quite perceptive about people. I couldn't help asking, did they bully you often before? Chen Wang smiled and said nothing. He never spoke about the bullying he endured. What use would it be to speak? He's the useless fool son. The emperor can help once or twice, but not forever. Smarter children get more favor. I didn't press further. Since you trust his character, then we support him. If the fifth prince ascended, he wouldn't ruthlessly persecute Chen Wang. Then Chen Wang could get a remote fief and live comfortably. 13. Among all the princes, the fifth prince looked the most like Prince Cheng. It was said that Consort Yun and the late empress also resembled each other closely, and when the empress was alive, the two of them had a good relationship. After the empress passed, and the current empress and noble consort rose in power, Consort Yun's days in the palace also became difficult. The three of us went together to find the fifth prince and explained our intentions. He looked at the three of us, and his eyes, narrower than Prince Cheng's, squinted slightly. You three really are harmonious. I didn't expect him to say that and didn't hesitate, pushing the silver notes toward him. Your Highness, the recent commotion lasting more than a month must be enough for you. Thank you for helping spread the news. Because of that, we were able to get all the silver back. Although we made a big show when collecting the debt, Prince Cheng's influence was limited. If it weren't for help behind the scenes, it wouldn't have gone so smoothly. For example, an official passing by, or the emperor being informed of the matter. The fifth prince looked me over. Consort Zhao is much smarter than I thought. That plan before, was it your idea? I didn't deny it. Yes, when people are poor, they can only go all out. Prince Cheng and Shun Anin nodded seriously together. Our three synchronized gestures made the fifth prince laugh heartily. You really are. He didn't quite know what to say, took the silver notes, but put forward a condition. He hoped the Shin family could offer help behind the scenes. The Shin family was wealthy and had the broadest trade network, with connections deeper than even the court's intelligence network. He was willing to make demands. I couldn't decide this matter, but Shen Anin agreed immediately. The fifth prince asked, won't the princess consort go back to ask? Shen Anin shook her head. When I married in, my parents and brothers said no matter what I do, they will support me. Once again, I felt like the odd one out for sticking my neck out. Everyone here was much smarter than me. The princess consort looked naive, but actually was very wise. Her occasional flashes of insight only made me seem even more foolish. The fifth prince sighed again. Third brother is really lucky. We reached an agreement. As we left, the fifth prince pulled me aside. Consort Zhao, you're encouraging my third brother and sister-in-law to join the fight for succession. Aren't you afraid this path leads to death? I looked steadily into his eyes and smiled. Fifth prince, do you think we have any other paths besides this one? He was speechless. I said, at the end of the road, to survive, you have to fight hard. Your Highness, please do your best. The lives of the three of us depend on you. I turned to leave, but he called after me. Do you know why among the 7 brothers, only third brother has the title of prince? None of the 7 princes were made crown prince, but only the third prince was titled Prince Chung, a unique distinction. The fifth prince said, that's the living way our father left for third brother. It's a message. No matter who sits on the throne, third brother poses no threat and must not be touched. This was the emperor's care for Prince Chung, and also a promise to the late empress. But this fatherly love stopped there. I shook my head with a smile. Your Highness, think about what happened recently. Do you really think the other brothers will remember these words? Do you really think they will let him go? Even if he lives, so what? Mere survival? The 7th prince dared to take the princess consort's dowry to give to courtesans. If he took the throne, wouldn't he go even further? The 5th prince said nothing more. After a few days, he took on a disaster relief task. The silver was directly donated in Prince Cheng's name. The emperor was very pleased, promoting both Prince Chung and the princess consort's ranks, and also elevating mine. Other princes were jealous and angry, and the empress hated us too, calling Shannon and me into the palace for a chat, which was really a way to make things difficult. But Shannon didn't understand, and naturally I followed my princess consort's lead and pretended not to understand either. After several visits, besides hating us, the empress couldn't really do anything. Actually, the empress restrained herself somewhat when scolding us. She wouldn't be as harsh as Zhao Dekheng or Qin Jingyun. I had been insulted for more than 10 years with curses like worthless whore, go die, so the empress's insults were really nothing. The 5th prince used the Shin family's trade routes to safely transport disaster relief silver, grain, and buy more supplies. The disaster relief went smoothly, and they exposed many local corrupt elements and their backers. 14. When the 5th prince returned, he brought solid evidence proving the 2nd and 4th princes, along with officials, were guilty of corruption, irrefutable proof. The emperor was furious, berated the 2nd and 4th princes harshly, even scolding the noble consort. The court erupted in turmoil, and the crucial moment of the succession battle began. Officials took sides or waited and watched anxiously, tossing and turning at night. Actually, the 3 of us weren't deeply involved in the succession fight, mainly because we weren't smart enough to know what to do. The 5th prince warned us not to make any moves. Our family had over 30 spies, not just for show, who watched day and night. We did what we should. When the family had enough money, we ate, drank, made new clothes, crafted jewelry, went out for spring outings, enjoyed snow, picked fruits. Prince Ching even broke his leg climbing a tree. Shannon cried loudly, and I had to scold the injured Prince Ching not to cry, then comfort Shannon, telling her he wouldn't be crippled, so she shouldn't be sad. The steward stared at me hard. Who actually broke their leg here? It felt like we were involved in the succession fight, but also like we weren't. The spies reported our daily trivial activities, which really had no value. Once, I got up late at night and overheard one of the 7th prince's spies being scolded in a corner. What are you doing every day? What information do you bring? No one wants to know how many snacks they eat, what clothes they made today, or that Prince Chung and the princess consort had a quarrel and Zhao Wanqing had to mediate. The spy was pitiful, but they really only do those things every day. Have they met with the 5th prince or the court officials? No, Your Highness. Prince Chung leaves the residence without knowing the rank or posts of the officials, only that they all have to bow to him. What about Zhao Wanqing?
She's not stupid, right?
Doesn't she have ambition? Didn't she compete for favor with Shannon? The spy was silent a long while. Zhao Wanqing treats the princess consort better than Prince Cheng. Last time Prince Cheng broke his leg, Zhao Wanqing wouldn't even let him cry because it might scare the princess consort. Keep working hard and keep watching closely. After those two left, I came out from behind the wall. These spies had it rough too. Just listening to their complaints exhausted me. They worked so hard every day in the residence. If that's the case, then I'd better give them some valuable information. 15. Zhao Wanru finally got engaged to Lian Ting. The wedding preparations were rushed, so naturally, I had to go back to attend the celebration and visit my maternal home. Zhao Wanru was already pregnant before the marriage, so the Lian family didn't look kindly on her. The wedding wasn't very lively, and when the bride and groom kowtowed, Lady Lian wore a stern face and delayed letting them rise. Many people were watching and waiting for spectacle. Zhao Wanru was about to act weak and pretend to faint, but before she could, Lady Lian called her up, timing perfectly. My engagement to Lian Ting had originally been arranged by my mother when we were young. After my mother passed away, without her backing and with my reputation damaged, Lady Lian always found ways to make things difficult for me. Now that Zhao Wanru had married in, the battle between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law was sure to be lively. That night, I cried and complained to Zhao Dekeng, asking for a divorce and for his help. Zhao Dekeng thought I was crazy. That's a prince. Have you ever seen anyone divorce from the royal family? If you want to die, do it yourself. Don't drag the family down. I cried. What's the difference between dying now or later? Prince Cheng has offended the seventh prince. It's a fight to the death. When the seventh prince takes that position, I'm as good as dead, and maybe I'll bring trouble to you all. A gleam flashed in Zhao Dechang's eyes when he heard seventh prince and that position. Do you know something? I shook my head crying. No, I don't know anything. I only beg you for a way out. He didn't care if I lived or died and scolded me back. You're already married out. Whether you live or die won't affect the family. Besides, I wrote a divorce letter when you first slept with him. Take it. From now on, you have no relation with the Zhao family. I had only come back to give him false news. Who knew it would come with such an unexpected gain? Holding the divorce letter, I felt a bit bitter. Father, Mother used her entire dowry to support your studies back then. Have you ever felt any gratitude toward her? Hearing about the family's past struggles made Zhao Dekeng furious and ashamed. Nonsense. I studied hard myself. That's why I have the position I do in the Ministry of Revenue.
Huh?
The Zhao family was once destitute. Without my mother's dowry, where would he have gotten the money to study? People can deceive others and even themselves, but when the lies catch up, the deceiver is the first to believe them. I left with the divorce letter. From then on, the Zhao family and I had nothing to do with each other. Zhao Dekeng had indeed joined the seventh prince's faction. Though his position wasn't high, he was a minor official who could get things done. The seventh prince was short on money recently and needed Ministry of Revenue officials to work for him. With the seventh prince's backing, Zhao Dechang's rank rose rapidly. Soon he was promoted to Deputy Minister of Revenue, riding high on success. Even Zhao Wanru rose with him. Before, when she was unmarried and pregnant, she was looked down on by the Lian family and bullied by her mother-in-law. Now with Zhao Dechang's promotion, she became arrogant and pretentious in her in-law's house. The Lian household was lively and chaotic, and Lian Ting, stuck in the middle, suffered greatly. However, since he was now working for the seventh prince through Zhao Dekeng, he had to appease Zhao Wanru, making life even more dramatic. As for me, I kept my focus on Prince Cheng's case.
16.
While treating Prince Cheng's leg, the doctor revealed a shocking secret. Prince Cheng had been taking contraceptive medicine continuously for 3 years. Those 3 years exactly matched the time since Prince Cheng's consort, Sheninen, entered the household. I kicked everyone out and called Sheninen over to watch Prince Cheng closely. Having a child is a matter for two people. Both must be involved. Tell me, why have you been taking this medicine? And do you know? Sheninen looked down, her eyes red. Obviously, she didn't know. That bastard. I slapped Prince Cheng's leg hard. He howled in pain. How dare you complain? And then was slandered outside saying she couldn't have children because of you. Yet you secretly take medicine? What's in your mind? Isn't this guy supposed to love Shinnin? How could he let her suffer this way? Prince Cheng lowered his head and said, I don't want anything bad to happen to Anin. My mother died giving birth to my brother. Even the Empress gave birth to me, but had complications. Anin is afraid of pain. She couldn't bear it, and I didn't want to see her suffer. Suddenly, I felt like eating some dog food. Shun Anin held his hand, tears in her eyes. I'm not afraid. Third brother, I'm not afraid. But Prince Cheng said he was afraid. I had someone spread the rumor that I can't have children, but no one believed it. The news never spread. I thought if the emperor's own son couldn't have children, how could that news get out? Even if he wanted it, the emperor wouldn't allow it. Besides the prince's spies, the emperor also had men in the mansion. Both of them tearful. One saying no, one saying yes. I was overwhelmed. All right, no children it is. If you don't mind, just adopt a few kids. Pick the ones you like, raise them at home. If you raise them well, they can be like your own sons. If not, just send them away as if you never raised them. It's just children. Does it matter if they're biological or not? Even biological kids aren't always obedient or sensible. Good upbringing makes a good child regardless. I just don't know if the emperor and Shin family would agree. Prince Cheng went to the palace and drank a strong dose of contraceptive medicine in front of the emperor, which infuriated the emperor. The emperor disapproved but had no choice but to accept it. The Shin family only wanted Shun and In to be happy and didn't want their only daughter to suffer. They even approached me. Actually, if consort Zhao were willing to bear children, we would love your child as much as Anin's. I quickly refused, saying no and not willing. We are like a pair of chopsticks sharing one bowl. I don't want to become the extra chopstick. Lady Shin looked at me deeply, smiled, and gave me a bracelet and a hair ornament. Later, the fifth prince told me, actually, Lady Shin once thought about killing you, did you know? I was still wearing the bracelet Lady Shin gave me, made of pure gold inlaid with many jewels, very wealthy looking, and I liked it. Hearing this, I shuddered. The fifth prince laughed, but after your wedding night, she gave up the idea. I adjusted the gold hairpin on my head and couldn't help but smile. Anin has a good mother. If I had a daughter, maybe I would do the same. 17. The final stage of the succession battle had no sword fights or drama. The emperor directly appointed the fifth prince to the throne, elevating him to a high position. The seventh prince was utterly defeated, and the other princes quietly gave up. But the fifth prince still took action against several princes. Those guilty of bribery, corruption, and wanton disregard for human life. Each case was thoroughly investigated by the Ministry of Justice and the Censorate, with clear evidence. Those who deserved to die were executed. Those who should be exiled were exiled. Some were even stripped of their noble status and made commoners. During those 6 months, the entire capital was engulfed in bloodshed and terror. Officials were all on edge, fearful that the purge might reach their doorsteps at any time. The fifth prince told the emperor, "Father, you care for your sons and spare them as much as you can, but your son must also consider the people of the realm. Please understand." The old emperor didn't say more. Instead, he went with the empress and consorts to a palace outside the capital to pray and no longer interfered in city affairs. The disgraced princes were all reduced to commoners and exiled to barbarian lands. The Zhao family and the Lien family, deeply involved with the seventh prince, were exiled as well. Before their exile, I went to see them. Zhao Dekheng had lost all pride and begged me to save them. We're family after all. Having family exiled brings shame on you too. I took out the divorce document. "Father, this was written by you. Have you forgotten?" Zhao Dekheng angrily said, "I am your real father. If you don't care about me, what will people think of you? What will the Prince Chung think?" I smiled. "My mother was your legal wife. You let Qin Jingyun harm her to death. How do you think I see you? How do others see you?"
Have you thought about that?
When he was selfish and ruthless, he shamelessly acted as he pleased. Now that he's wronged, he demands I save face. What face do I have? I was trampled on since childhood. I don't care about face anymore. After their exile, Zhao Dekhang and Qin Jingyan died on the way. Zhao Wanru, Zhao Jian, and Lian Ting reached their place of exile but were so tortured that they barely survived, dying within a few years. Their last days were the greatest suffering of their lives, and the ones I enjoyed the most.
18.
Prince Cheng and Shenanin adopted 4 children, making their household lively and warm. The 5th prince invited me to the palace and asked if I wanted to fake my death and change my identity. I almost spat out my tea. Your Majesty, I'm neither smart enough nor lucky enough for that. His harem was huge. With my brain, how could I compete with any of them? In Prince Cheng's household, it's just the 3 of us main people. People think I'm clever, but actually, I'm the least sharp. This life suits me just fine. The 5th prince, now the emperor, didn't pressure me further but asked if I wanted help with divorce and remarriage. They're a loving couple, and you're alone. When you get older, you might feel lonely. I smiled. I just have 2 more kids to raise. How could I be lonely? Besides, having divorced out of the royal family, who would dare marry me? The 5th prince must not like something about me, always coming up with bad ideas like that. After returning, I immediately urged Prince Cheng and his wife to petition for a fief, somewhere far from the capital to live. Coincidentally, the Shun family's old estate was in the south. Shenanin's parents had already retired there. Prince Cheng asked for the imperial decree, and the next day we prepared to move. In a month, we moved our whole family in a grand procession southward. The new emperor even came to see us off, eyeing me. Afraid to become like this? Didn't think you were that bold. I laughed awkwardly and hid behind Prince Cheng. Living with a prince is like living with a tiger. How could I not be scared? He didn't make things hard for me, gave us some gifts, and returned half of the silver Prince Cheng had donated years ago. Recently, many estates were confiscated and the treasury is full. Consider this half as a donation from third brother to the people. The other half is returned to you, so you won't have to rely on your in-laws when you go south. Prince Cheng hadn't expected the money back and happily accepted it. Thank you, 5th brother. The emperor momentarily froze, a flash of nostalgia crossing his eyes. Then he smiled. We traveled slowly, stopping and going, heading south. The capital was probably a place we would never return to. That had been our home, full of blood relatives, but it had turned into a place of strangers and enemies. Strangely, now our family of 7, none related by blood, had become a real family. Fate is truly wondrous. The days ahead will go on, and we will live more happily and peacefully.